It's not the problem that you're being tortured. It's the problem that you cannot die.
Billions and billions of people screaming.
And if that person's name is not found written in the Lamb's Book of Life, they're going to be cast in the hell fire for all eternity.
These are not actors. These are not scripts. These are 10 separate people who went somewhere and came back changed forever. Right now, beneath your feet, there are people screaming. Billions of souls tormented without pause, without mercy, without end. Replaying every single moment they had a chance to say yes to Jesus and didn't. 10 people were shown that place. They saw the levels, they smelled the air, they heard the screams, they felt the heat, and they came back with one job: to warn you. This is the countdown, starting at number 10.
10.
Tim Smith. Now, before we get into this one, I have to be honest with you. This testimony didn't come from God's Voice today. It came from my show. Tim Smith sat down with me on God's Truth podcast, and what he shared that day has never left me. Tim had an allergic reaction to medication. His blood pressure dropped. He passed out in a hospital, and for 18 minutes, he was gone.
They were like questioning me about my entire life. The questioning, it went on forever. They asked me something about Jesus. So I was like, I don't believe in Jesus. Oh, so you don't believe in Jesus? And I was like, no. When that happened, they started torturing me. Whatever torture that you can imagine on earth that happens, just nothing compared to this. It's not even fathomable. There ain't no mercy. They don't get tired.
He couldn't close his eyes. He couldn't move. He had no free will.
Okay, you're like a robot. Like a remote control car.
The part that broke him.
It's almost like somebody reached in your rectum and ripped you inside out like a sock, but you're still alive. And that's not the end of it. You just keep going. You cannot die.
Then they offered him a deal. Everything he ever wanted, if he would join them. He said no. And then a blade appeared over his heart. A voice said,
"You're condemned to death for not believing in Jesus Christ."
And in that moment, Tim Smith said 4 words that changed everything.
I erupted out of this place like lightning, out of this darkness, at a speed that's not incomprehensible. I shot out of this place, like through my body, through the ceiling of the hospital, in front of this huge cloud, and stopped instantly.
On the other side of that cloud, Jesus was waiting. What happened next? Full episode on God's Truth, link in the description.
9.
Number 9, Michael Reese. Proud atheist, no drugs, no illness, no accident. He simply lay down to sleep.
The shock of seeing that door open sent my soul out of my body. I felt like I was falling backwards into my bed, down through the ground, and just down through these different levels. This darkness enveloped me. That's when it hits me. Oh my God. I'm in hell.
What he found inside will never leave him.
I start hearing the most blood-curdling, agonizing screams that I've ever heard in my life. There is no movie, there is no disaster that I've ever witnessed or seen online or seen a movie of where people were, so many people, I mean tens of thousands of people all screaming. They were just terrified, they were being tormented. And I look over to my right and I can see that there is a lake of fire, and there are people in this lake of fire who are burning. Some of them are raising up their hands to try to get out, to try to reach a rock or to reach a pedestal to try to get out. And the flesh on their hands is literally just melting off. I see people's faces where their skin is melting off of their faces. As these people are looking around trying to find some sort of salvation from this fire, I see their eyeballs popping. Their tongues are literally on fire.
Then Jesus walked toward the lake, and every soul reached for him.
They are like millimeters away from, like they got so close as they're grasping, but they just cannot touch him. When they would try to reach for him and not reach him, their screams would get louder, their frustration would grow. I get this concept in my mind that if they were to touch his garment, they would be sent to heaven, because now they are believers in Jesus. They believe that he is the Son of God. They believe in his power, they believe in his authority, and if they simply touch his garment, their faith will take them to heaven. But they can't.
Then Michael saw 2 faces he recognized.
I see Pope John Paul II, who I was very, very familiar with growing up. He was sitting in a throne of gold. All around him was golden coins, diamonds, crystals, valuable pieces of artwork, statues, sculptures. So many riches, an embarrassment of riches was all around him. And the throne of gold, solid gold that he was sitting on, his wrists were strapped in to the side so he could not move, and he was burning. He was screaming, again, just screams that were just absolutely horrendous. His flesh was melting off. He was wearing his full papal wardrobe, and he was burning in flames. Right after Jesus had just told me that he was disappointed in the church, I saw Michael Jackson, and that really threw me for a loop. I could not believe what I was seeing. I knew it was Michael Jackson. The moment that my eyes found his shape, I knew it was Michael Jackson. And he was dancing, he was screaming, he was crying, he was on fire, and he was dancing on a stage for demons. There were demons right in front of him. And I knew that he could never stop dancing. Anytime he would want to stop dancing, the demons would light him on fire again, throw fire at his feet, throw pebbles, brimstone that was flaming fireballs at him, so that he would have to start again, and he would have to keep on dancing, and he could never stop.
And then the message Jesus gave him for the church.
I get this concept in my mind from Jesus, who says, I'm very disappointed in the church. I'm very disappointed in how the church has evolved.
8.
Number 8, Bryan Melvin, militant atheist, contracted cholera in Tucson, Arizona, and died on his bathroom floor.
And I took my last breath, I remember it, and I just left him. I floated above my body, all the pain left. I felt wonderful. And at the time, you understand, was that I was an atheist, and I had no idea what after-death experiences. I had nothing to compare it with. I knew nothing of any of this stuff. I wouldn't have believed it at all.
But he didn't just go to heaven. He was taken somewhere else first.
And the place smelled horrible, and it really stunk. And the stench was so bad, you could taste it. It permeated everything. It's horrible. Death, decay, sulfur, but not so much the sulfur egg smell, but even worse with all the dead decay and stuff. It was a stench you just can't believe. And these creatures down there hated human beings with a passion, and they loved deceiving them and bringing them to this place. And that's what I was seeing.
And the deception is what separates Bryan's testimony from almost every other.
And all these people ran out of the house, down the hill, and more of them came up. And they came up and said, Bryan, welcome to paradise. And one of the things they said is, don't you feel the love here? Well, the love I felt there was not the type of love that I stood before Jesus. It's not the same type of love that I came through the void feeling. This was a sickly, sweet, deceptive, I call it a devil speak love. And it's real seductive. It's icky. It just makes you sick when I think about it.
And then the one face that stopped him cold.
Adolf Hitler, he was inside of a cell on fire. He was burning on fire. It was like inside of one of the ovens of Auschwitz or something. It's like all those places, a lot of those places have ovens, and each person that died, he was experiencing their death. At this time, all these years later, who knows, he could be being in the gas chambers, each individual, each kid. It could be the kids being experimented on, the people being experimented on. He'll go through every single one of those things. It's not improving, it's getting worse.
Then Jesus came.
You deserve wrath and not mercy for all the things you've done. And then all of a sudden I got picked up by this person behind me, and it was Jesus. He could pick me up and held me like a little kid. I could see that the holes in his wrists were pulled, his bones were pulled apart when he picked me up, and I wept with his shoulder. It's hard for me to go through this part because I know I deserve that place. It's like, he picked me up and he carried me out of there, and I cried on his shoulder, and I cried like I never cried before.
That's the Jesus Bryan has been preaching ever since.
7.
Freddie Garcia, Number 7. Freddie Garcia, mortician, coma from spinal meningitis before he lost consciousness. A voice whispered to him in an x-ray room.
And all of a sudden, on my left ear, I heard a beautiful voice, and it said, "Ask for forgiveness." And I started looking around everywhere. I was looking, there was nobody in there. And I was like, what? And then again, a beautiful voice on my left ear. It said, "Ask for forgiveness."
He was taken to 3 separate levels.
I remember looking down, and I was over this desert, huge desert, and I could see huge holes. They were like 5 to 6 stories deep, and there was one person in each hole. And I remember flying into one, and there was a lady just laying there. She was just shaking, and I flew around her body, and then my face went right to her feet and all the way up to her face. And I could see her skin look like it was melted to her bones. But the thing is, she was still crying. She was horrified and flying over this ocean. And as I looked down, I could see hundreds of thousands of people drowning. And then I flew into the water. I went about 10 to 15 feet deep into the water. And when I got there, I could see these people just sinking. And all of a sudden, this one lady, she was right here and her arms were out. I could see her hair floating. All of a sudden, her eyes open, boom, and shoot, we got out of the water. She started screaming and gasping for air, only to be forced back again. This is continually repeated. All of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, I start flying again. And to my right side, I could see powerful light. It was like Jesus standing there and nothing. The light was so powerful, I couldn't even, it was hard to look at. Beautiful shafts of light. And then all of a sudden, I saw like this hole open up, and I was cast into it, and I started falling down into the lake of fire. And as soon as I landed in there, my arms went straight up. I started screaming and yelling, and there was people everywhere with their arms up, and the torment, it's like a lava, but the flames of fire shooting up.
And then Jesus pulled him out and showed him something he will never forget.
And I could see hundreds upon hundreds of millions of people burning. And it was horrifying. And as I look up to the top, I could see these big holes, and I could see hundreds of people just constantly being cast into the lake of fire. And all of a sudden, as I'm looking at Jesus' hand, he points out his hand, and he said, "This is where you would have been for the sinful life you were living." He said, "But I heard your prayers and the prayers of my servants for your healing." He goes, "You belong to me. I'm going to take you home." And that's when my eyes closed, and I ended up being taken to the 3rd level of heaven.
Freddie came back a prophet.
6.
Number 6. Queen Okeoma, raised in a strict Christian home by her 20s, drinking, chasing fame, running from God. Then one Saturday afternoon in 2007, she lay down for a nap.
I was laying in my bed. I was getting ready to take a nap. Well, when I laid down, the mattress started to wave like it was in water. It was weird. It was very, very strange. I leaned up on my elbows and I said, "Jesus." Then as soon as I said that, I was standing on the floor. But my shell was in the bed, and I'm talking to myself, "Lord, I don't know who this woman is. I don't know how she got in my apartment. Did I leave my door open? Who is this person? What is going on?" And then I realized that time had stopped.
She was taken into a room she calls the Room of the Living Dead.
They were bishops, pastors, teachers, you name it. They were all just standing there, but they were just standing there. They looked forlorn. They were just standing there like this. Just standing, they were alive, but they looked dead. And all their clothes were cut out of diamonds, the same material that was on the wall. And I remember looking at these people. I remember saying out loud, "I'm in heaven." And the Spirit of God right beside me said, "No, you're not." He said, "These people," he said, "what you're looking at, they look like perfect Christians to the outside world, but inwardly, they're evil continuously, and every last one of them is on their way to hell." And that's when God started to speak. He said, "I created the 2 great lights, the one to light the day, the one to light the night. And there's nowhere where you can go on the earth where your eyes would not adjust to the darkness. But in hell, there is no light. And the darkness is a lie, and it's its own separate evil entity." He said, "You see these flames? These flames are filled with brimstone night and day." He said they will never go out.
And Jesus warned her directly.
He said, "You serve me with your whole heart, or you serve me not at all. Because if you don't, I'll use you. The others would be saved through you, but you would dang on hell."
Then the celebrities.
And they were guarding Biggie's cell. He was on fire. He had on a hospital gown, and he was on fire. But the fire was coming from the inside of him, just holding the bars. It was burning. And I'm standing there beside Jesus, and I asked Jesus, why is he here? This is what Jesus said verbatim. It's on record in heaven. This man told me he didn't need me. This man believed he was a king. This man went to a fetish priest and got charms that he carried around in his pocket to become famous. He said, but mostly because he told me he didn't need me. And this man will be here throughout all of eternity. All the dance moves Michael Jackson did, he got them from demons. And people do not know that Michael Jackson was a warlock. He was a witch, a warlock on the earth. People, they would not believe it, they wouldn't know it, but he was. He got all of his songs from demons. He got his dance move from demons. And in hell, the demons had whips and they were whooping him and beating him.
Queen has been to hell 8 times, and she said something that stopped me cold.
The torment for a Christian is 5 times worse than, you can have Hindus in one section, you can have Muslims in one section, Jehovah's Witnesses in another section, but the ones who get tormented the worst is Christians. And the reason why is because we knew the truth. The truth was revealed to us. Jesus Christ was revealed to us. We accepted him. We accepted his sacrifice on the cross, but we just threw it away like it was a nothing. So we deserve to be tormented throughout time and eternity.
5.
Number 5, Ashtann. One sip at a birthday party. That's all it took.
I couldn't see the hand in front of my face. It was just very, very dark. And the smell was the first thing that actually made me sit my head up, because I started to smell this putrid odor. It smelled like rotting flesh and burning sulfur.
She found herself standing in a line.
Now I'm standing in this line of, it was people before me and people behind me. And I'm standing in this line and I can't speak to anyone. There was no communication in hell whatsoever. None. I'm just standing there and it's people by the thousands, probably by the millions in front of me. And I could see at the front of the line, there is this gigantic, it looked like a pot, like a witch's pot almost. And I saw this tall demon, very grotesque looking. It was dunking people in the pot. And as they were going in the pot and coming back up, their skin was boiling off and then growing back. And as it grew back, he dunked them in there again. And he's laughing. He's laughing, he's laughing, he's laughing, and I'm hearing other demons laugh.
And then she was pulled before a courtroom.
And I now hear Satan accusing me. He starts bringing up every single sin that I had not repented for. Basically telling God that is the reason why I should go to hell, why I deserve to go to hell.
Every time she lied, she fell deeper.
As soon as I said nothing, it was like I dropped, like an elevator, like you feel an elevator going down to the floor beneath you. That's exactly the feeling how it felt, but it was very swift. I just felt the fear growing.
They nailed her to a cross.
They were trying to nail me to this cross and they were laughing because I knew who Jesus was, but I was not living for him. So it's like, as a Christian, a lukewarm Christian, if you die and go to hell, they mock you because it's like you had the opportunity to live right before Christ, but you didn't. You knew who he was, but you didn't. So they mock you. And they will crucify you on a cross as a form of torment. And they had these nails about this long and they were barbed nails, like basically other nails coming out the side of the nails. And they pulled my arm back. And right when they pulled my arm back, getting ready to hit me with this hammer thing, they were gonna nail my hand to this wood. And right before that happened, that's when I was pulled back into my body. And
when she came back, there was a mark on her leg, physical proof.
She pulls my sock off, pulls my pant leg up, and she looks at the back of my ankle. And when she looks at my ankle, her face, it was just this look of shock and horror on her face because there was a bite mark on the back of my ankle. It looked like 2 fang marks. It also looked like a burn, like it was burned into me. It wasn't just like a bite mark. When it bit me, it felt like somebody took hot coals off of a barbecue grill and burned me. It didn't just feel like a bite. It was a burning sensation. I'm not crazy.
Ashtann is not lukewarm anymore.
4.
Number 4. Robyn Cunningham. He didn't get sick. He didn't have an accident. He was simply taken, pulled from his body, and brought before the throne of God.
And Jesus looks at me and he smiles, this beautiful beaming smile, and he hands me an hourglass that has just a few grains of sand left in it. And he said, I will be returning in 8 books. I still haven't quite figured out what that means, but I knew for a fact that he was going to be coming back very soon, and that the hourglass was just about done.
What you are about to hear is the most graphic testimony on this entire countdown.
There's this guy. I know that he was 49 years old when he died. His name was Jerry. He was balding, pretty overweight guy, you know, probably 320 pounds or something, you know, about my height. And everybody's butt naked. The demons are butt naked. The people are butt naked. But they've got this guy. They pull his head back. They're scalping him, ripping his hair off while they pull his head back. Grab a hold of his jaw, rip his jaw down and open. And they've got these long, like 1.5 foot long claws, maybe bigger, I don't know. And he reaches down his throat, and they're not trying to be gentle. They reach down his throat all the way down to his rear end, and then grab all of his intestines and his bones right there and rip it out. And they start pulling it, piece, and they're ripping it out. And he's screaming, just like, I don't know how he can scream. Like, he should have been dead, but right at that moment, they ripped him, literally just shredded him like there was nothing left. Chunks everywhere. They're biting him, chewing on him, eating, ripping his flesh off. And all of a sudden, he regenerates back to normal. He's still in immense pain.
And the atmosphere of hell itself was alive.
In heaven, you feel like you're being wrapped up by this liquid love. You feel completely accepted and loved. In hell, it was rejection, abandonment, hopelessness. The hopelessness was so bad. The rejection makes you feel so isolated and alone, so rejected and abandoned and hopeless. And all of your faults, all of your traits are being pointed out. They're mocking you and ridiculing, laughing at you.
And when people try to cry out the one name that could save them,
I asked Jesus afterwards, why is it everybody in hell knows you're real? There is not one person who is an atheist in hell. They know that you exist at this point. There is no doubt about it. Why don't they just call your name and say, Jesus, help me, Jesus? Or say, Jesus, 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 and make these demons back up and back away? Because the name of Jesus, those demons would shriek and take off. No, as soon as I called the name of Jesus, everything ended. And he said, they are not given the authority to use my name in that pit. And he said to me, he quoted the scripture to me, you have been given the authority to be called the sons of God.
Wow.
They don't get to use his name. They're not allowed.
There are no atheists in hell.
Robyn came back and has never stopped warning the church.
3.
Number 3, Levi Golding. He took a sip of coke, it went into his lungs, and 30 seconds later,
Darkness, billions and billions of people screaming. The smell was like sulfur, dead bodies, rotten egg. Yeah, this place ain't good.
the creatures that met him had no earthly equivalent.
Like just a bunch of hybrid, like horses, snakes, reptilish things, scorpions, locusts, like insects, spiders, all kinds of stuff mixed into one. But there's like, I knew there were thousands of different species of them.
Fire itself was alive.
And what's crazy is the fire is alive too. Like the light, when I seen the light, it was like moving in waves, and it had its own face, and it looked at me. It was talking stuff to me. It was like, welcome to the pits or something like that, and it was like laughing at me, like doing this horrible laugh.
He watched another soul land 20 yards from him.
And as soon as he landed, they got him. They swarmed him. It was almost like, you've ever seen a zombie movie and they're pouring them apart and stuff like that. They were just pouring them apart. They were eating them. They were cutting them apart. But at the same time, he's alive and he's like screaming. And I can hear all these other people screaming as well, but he's screaming. And they would he would regenerate after they pull him apart. It was almost like it never happened. It would reset. And they were just sitting there like right here, right in front of me as soon as I landed. And they're like this, just sawing him apart. They're licking his wounds, like they're just licking them.
Then came the details that haunted him most.
One particular, it was an elderly lady. She was crawling out of the pit, just screaming bloody murder, just burning, like her flesh was falling off of her. My brother Robyn, he described it the best. Like, it's like sulfur ball. Like, if you ever seen the sulfur balls from Sodom and Gomorrah lit on fire and like they drip. That's how her flesh was dripping off, and she was crawl. I don't even know how she even got the strength to even crawl out of because you don't have, there's no movement. Like, you can't really move. Crawling out on her like this, and the demons, or I call them things, because they're just disgusting. But you have ever played croquet or crochet in like those giant, like they have like these giant hammers that look like what you play croquet with, war hammers or whatever, the circular cylinder hammer. Smashed her face in as soon as she crawled out, and he instantly got erect. And as soon as he got erect, he started playing with himself and said, "Yeah," or some wicked stuff. And his friend by him was egging him up, like high-fived him, and he was like, "Go get me another hammer," or something like that. Got a bigger hammer, and she regenerated, smashed her face in again. And she's screaming bloody murder, because you can't die. Another one that stood out to me was a 15-year-old kid. There was like 5 of those things on him, and they was ripping his arms out, and they would shove it up his rectum or whatever, and rape him with it. And at the same time, they're carving stuff into his face. They're slicing his ears off, and like they're making little like cracker sandwiches out of his ears, and they're talking stuff to him. They're licking him, they're eating him.
And then the gates.
Some of the people in the gate were like literal people. Like, if you ever watched the movie Aliens, and they put the people on the wall, it was terrible. I just remember seeing them, and as soon as I seen them, they were just screaming at me, "Don't come, don't come," and they're screaming at the top of their lungs like bloody murder.
Number 2, Katarzyna.
He took me to the main hell, and it would look like a mountains, and it was not mountains. When he zoomed in, it was souls lying on top of each other screaming.
Everything you've heard so far, Katarzyna saw all of it, but her testimony earns the number 2 spot because of one detail. Satan himself walked her through his domain.
He's red. That's why I knew it's the devil, because he is red. He looks like a creature, but he's not as scary as they show him. It's almost like in between human and animal. He have like a big teeth, like a dog, I would say. He is short, kinda. He's not like, like big or something. He was sitting like on a chair, like a throne or something, just like with one leg up, just like this. He was naked, have a big muscle, have a big man structure. He had the horns, he's red. And it would look like a mountains and like a river, like a fire river. And of course there will be a fire, but there's a different fire because you breathe in, breathe out this fire. But he would zoom in, and it was not mountains. When he zoomed in, it was souls lying on top of each other screaming. And there will be just like demons like sweeping them and like hitting them from time to time. And they will be screaming even more.
The mountain was made of people, and every single one of them was aware. And then his claim over her.
See all those people that hurt you, they're gonna end up here. You're gonna work for me. I'm gonna tell you what to do. You're gonna go and you're gonna... and I was like, no. And then he would be like doing that to me when I would be like lying down. And when he would be speaking, and he's like, you don't understand, you B. I own you already. You already serve me. Who do you think you are?
Katarzyna walked away from everything, a lucrative career, a life in San Francisco, and has never looked back, because when you have seen what she has seen, nothing in this world is worth it. Number 1, Reji. Reji went to hell 4 nights in a row.
I looked and I saw me laying on the floor in the garage. From the ground up, this encasing of this tomb started to form in the garage. Now I'm starting to have these thoughts go through my head. I think I died in my sleep, and now I went to hell.
The cave was not a rock. It was alive.
The rocks were breathing. The rocks that was in his cave, these rocks was different. This just wasn't no normal cave. The heat that started to permeate the air was starting to kind of feel like it was kind of melting my skin a little bit.
And he was not alone.
There were bodies all on the ceiling of the tomb. The tomb, it went forever. The bodies that was encased in this tomb was unreal. And it was somebody next to me that I could see, and I could kind of look over like this and see the next person next to me. This person, the teeth were broken. The lip was split all the way up into the eye. The eyeball was hanging out the socket. His nose was disfigured because it was leaning over here this way. And as I'm looking up, I'm trying to break up even more every time I lift it up.
And what he found worst wasn't the pain.
I knew that I would never be able to communicate with God ever again. You feel the detachment from Christ. Christ is not there with you. God is not there with you. You'll never ever be able to say, Father God, forgive me. If nobody gets anything out of this message, out of this testimony, understand that serving God, being with God is the greatest feeling that you could ever have, even if you are a sinner and you are in your own worst deep darkness, because when you go to hell, you will never ever be able to have a communication with Christ, because it is the separation.
Reji fell asleep again.
I woke up encased in this ball, and I'm gonna do my very best to explain this. I was in a ball, my arms were stretched out like this, and my legs were pulled apart. It wasn't like a crucifix type position, but I could feel myself in this ball, because this ball was like, it was made of flesh. It smelled horrifically in this ball. That it was, I call it a flesh ball. And the fear that came over me was that same exact fear that I felt from the night before, and there was no escaping.
Night 3.
When he pulled on this lever, I started to rotate. The room was spinning this way, but I was rotating every which way. As I rotated, my arms, my fingers, my shoulders, my chest, everything was breaking. I would roll over on my face, my neck snapped. My ears were being pulled away from my head. When my face hit the floor, my eyeball would press against the floor. My eyeball would shoot out. My eyes was hanging. My nose was all the way over here. My lips pulled apart. All my teeth were breaking. I'm being rolled over constantly. And the only thing that I could do is understand that I was in complete agony and complete pain.
Night 4, a street full of the lost, people who had refused God on earth, screaming for a way out that would never come.
See, so this is where it gets real. Because, see, when you're in sin, you don't think about what happens if you leave here and you do go to hell. But when you're there, everything that you did, you're going to remember. You're going to think about all the times you cussed somebody out, every time you disrespected somebody, every time you fornicated, every time you got high, every time you got drunk, and you could have been offering your life to God, but you're sitting there and now the regret sets in, because you're in remembrance of all the error, the fouls and the errors that you ran when you was here on earth, and you had a chance to make it right and you didn't.
10 people, 10 trips to the same place. Not one of them came back the same. Right now, beneath your feet, there are souls who are replaying every moment they had a chance to say yes to Jesus and didn't. You still have that chance. Every single person in this countdown was pulled back by the same name, the same hand, the same mercy that is available to you right now watching this. If you want to give your life to Jesus right now, it doesn't need to be complicated. Just say this: Jesus, I believe you died for my sins and rose again. I give you my life. Save me. Never let me go. Amen. Heaven heard that. Now don't let this end here. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment telling us which testimony hit you the hardest. Share this with someone who needs to see it. You already know who that person is. And if you want to watch any of these testimonies in full, every link is in the description below.